So how are you guys? So this is the new story I am gonna start now. The crossover story is What If Naruto and Sonic Hedgehog. So without wasting time, let's start the series. Naruto Uzumaki sat with his back against the wall, knees drawn up, forehead resting on his arms. The orange jumpsuit was torn at the shoulder, again, from running through the narrow gaps between buildings where the Chunin couldn't follow. His lungs still burned. 12 years old? Academy student. Dead last. The titles rattled around his head like stones in an empty can. He'd done it again. Painted the Hokage monument. Got caught. Ran. Got caught again. Iruka had yelled, really yelled this time, about respect and responsibility, and when are you going to grow up, Naruto? The words still stung, not because they were mean, but because they were tired. Iruka sounded tired of him. Naruto lifted his head and stared at the narrow strip of sky between the rooftops. It was that deep blue of late afternoon, the kind that made everything feel hollow. Why do I even try? The thought came quietly, without the usual anger that followed it. That scared him more than any Chunin ever could. He pushed himself up, brushed off his pants, and started walking. No destination. Just away from the alley, away from the voices, away from the looks the villagers gave him when they thought he wasn't watching. The streets were thinning out as he moved toward the edge of the village. Fewer people meant fewer stares. Fewer whispers. Fewer mothers pulling children closer when he passed. A cart had overturned near the market's edge, someone's vegetable shipment, scattered across the dirt. An old woman was trying to gather the rolling cabbages, her movements slow and frustrated. Naruto stopped. For a moment, he just watched. Then he walked over and started picking them up. The old woman looked at him sharply, suspicion written across every line in her face. Naruto kept his head down, gathering cabbages, placing them carefully back in the cart. He didn't say anything. What was there to say? I'm not a demon. I'm just a kid. Words didn't work. He tried words. When the last cabbage was back, he stepped away without meeting her eyes. Thank you, she said. Quiet. Reluctant. Naruto nodded once and kept walking. He didn't look back to see if she was still watching. He already knew the answer. The forest boundary was marked by a worn wooden torii gate, faded red paint peeling in strips. Beyond it, the trees grew thick and old, their branches tangled overhead like clasped hands. Naruto had been told never to go past the gate, standard village rules for students, something about wild animals and missing Nin and you're not ready, brat. He stepped through anyway. The air changed immediately. Cooler. Damp. The sounds of the village faded behind him, the hammering from the blacksmith, the calls of vendors, the endless murmur of people living their lives without him. All replaced by birdsong and wind and the soft rustle of leaves. Naruto walked deeper. He didn't know what he was looking for. Maybe nothing. Maybe just somewhere that didn't feel like there. The trees thickened, the light dimmed, and for the first time all day, his shoulders relaxed. A clearing opened ahead, small, maybe 20 feet across, with a flat rock at its center worn smooth by weather. A stream cut along one edge, barely wide enough to step over, its water so clear he could see the rounded stones at the bottom. Naruto sat on the rock. The quiet pressed in around him, but it wasn't the heavy silence of his apartment. It was alive. The stream talked to itself. The leaves whispered. Somewhere overhead, a bird called out and another answered. He pulled his knees up again, wrapped his arms around them, and let himself feel the weight of being alone without having to pretend it didn't hurt. What's wrong with me? The question hung in the air, unanswered. And then the sky ripped open. It wasn't gradual. 1 second, blue through the trees. Next second, a sound, there was no other word for it, something between thunder and tearing cloth, and the air split directly above the clearing. Naruto was on his feet before he knew he'd moved, heart slamming against his ribs, hands coming up in a clumsy guard stance that Iruka would have laughed at. Light poured through the tear. Not golden or white, but something else, deep emerald green shot through with violet, pulsing like a heartbeat. The light hurt to look at, not because it was bright but because it felt wrong, like staring at a wound in the world. Something fell through. Two somethings. The first was blue. Blur of motion, legs pumping even in midair, arms windmilling as it twisted to face the direction it came from. It hit the ground hard, rolled, came up running, stopped dead when it saw Naruto. They stared at each other. The creature, no Hedgehog, Naruto's brain supplied uselessly, was taller than him. Bright blue fur, green eyes, red shoes with white straps. White gloves on its hands. It stood on two legs like a person, chest heaving, and looked just as confused as Naruto felt. The second thing hit the ground behind it. Black and red. Taller. Angrier. Its fur was dark as charcoal with crimson streaks, and its eyes, burned red with something that made Naruto's blood freeze. Not demonic, exactly. Just empty. Like it had seen too much to care anymore. The black one straightened slowly, deliberately, and fixed those red eyes on Naruto. "You're not from here," it said. The voice was flat. No emotion. Like it was stating a fact about the weather. Naruto's mouth opened. Nothing came out. The blue one, Hedgehog, still Hedgehog, why is it a hedgehog, glanced between Naruto and the black one, then back, then grinned. It grinned. "Hey, Shadow," it said, and its voice was completely different, lighter, almost teasing. "I don't think this is Station Square." The black one, Shadow, didn't look away from Naruto. Obviously. A sound from above made all three of them look up. The tear in the sky was smaller now, but something else was coming through, something mechanical, angular, bristling with weapons. It looked like a flying battleship crossed with a nightmare, all red and gray metal, engines screaming as it pushed through the shrinking gap. "That's..." the blue one started. "I know." Shadow's hand came up, palm open. Green light flickered around his fingers. "Chaos Spear." "Wait." Naruto finally found his voice. "What the hell is going on?" The blue one looked at him again, and for a second the grin softened into something almost apologetic. "Long story. Short version, bad guy, magic rocks, dimensional portal, now we're here." He shrugged. "I'm Sonic. That grumpy one's Shadow. You." Naruto stared. The flying battleship was fully through now, hovering above the trees, its shadow swallowing the clearing. Weapons were rotating into position. Lights were blinking. Somewhere inside, Naruto was sure people, or things, were preparing to attack. "Naruto," he heard himself say. "Naruto Uzumaki." Sonic's grin came back full force. "Nice to meet you, Naruto. Hope you're ready to run." "Why would I?" The first shot hit the clearing like a bomb. The explosion threw Naruto sideways. He hit the ground hard, rolled, came up coughing dirt. Where the flat rock had been, there was now a crater. Smoke curled upward, mixing with the strange green light still fading from the sky. Sonic was already moving, impossibly fast, a blue blur that left afterimages in the air. He zigzagged across the clearing, dodging shots that Naruto couldn't even see coming, and somehow made it look effortless. Shadow hadn't moved. He stood exactly where he'd landed, hands still raised, and watched the battleship with those empty red eyes. The green light around his fingers intensified. "Chaos Spear," he said again, quietly, like he was talking to himself. Green energy lanced upward, a spear of pure light that struck the ship's underside. The hull dented. Sparks showered down. The ship shuddered but kept coming. TCH. Shadow's feet left the ground. He flew, no hand seals, no visible effort, just rising straight up like gravity had decided to take a break. Another chaos spear formed in his hand, larger this time, and he hurled it with the same flat expression. This one punched through. The ship listed, smoke billowing from the wound, but its weapons kept firing. Beams of red energy rained down indiscriminately, carving trenches through the forest, setting trees ablaze. One of them was heading straight for Naruto. He saw it coming. Had time to think, this is it, this is how I die, alone in a forest no one will ever find. Blue. Sonic was there, grabbing him by the back of his jumpsuit, and then the world became a blur. Trees whipped past. Wind screamed in his ears. His stomach tried to escape through his throat. Then they stopped. Naruto collapsed to his knees, gasping. Sonic stood beside him, breathing slightly faster than before but otherwise unbothered, watching the distant glow of the burning clearing. "Sorry about the rough ride," he said. "You okay?" Naruto looked up at him. Blue fur. Red shoes. Green eyes that held something achingly familiar, a restlessness, a loneliness, a determination to keep moving because stopping meant thinking about things that hurt. "I don't understand what's happening," Naruto said. Sonic's expression softened. "Yeah." He crouched down, bringing himself to Naruto's level. "Me either, honestly. But whatever's going on, that ship's part of it. And Eggman, the guy inside, he's not going to stop until he gets what he wants." "What does he want?" Sonic's eyes flicked to the sky. The tear was almost closed now, just a thin scar of green light against the blue. "Chaos Emeralds," he said. Magic rocks that can do pretty much anything. Shadow and I both have one, that's how we got here. Eggman's got the rest. Probably trying to follow us through before the portal closes. Another explosion from the clearing. Shadow was still fighting. Why would he follow you? Naruto asked. If he already has the rocks. He wants all 7. Always does. Sonic stood, offering a hand. Come on. We need to move before. The ground shook. Not from an explosion, from something underneath. The trees around them swayed, roots tearing, as a massive shape forced its way up through the dirt. Metal. Red and black. A face, if you could call it that, with glowing green eyes and a gaping maw filled with spinning blades. Never mind, Sonic muttered. He's already here. The machine drill? Worm? Nightmare surged fully out of the ground, towering above them. Its head swiveled, those green eyes fixing on Sonic, and a voice boomed from somewhere inside. There you are, Sonic! Did you really think you could escape the great Dr. Eggman? Sonic sighed. Every time, he said. Every single time, he has to do the dramatic entrance. Naruto was on his feet now, legs shaking but standing. The thing, Eggman's machine, was bigger than any summon he'd ever seen. Bigger than the paintings of the Ninetales and the scrolls. Its shadow swallowed them completely. Run! He yelled at Sonic. We have to run! Sonic looked at him. That grin was back, but it was different now, less playful, more focused. Edged with something that looked almost like relief. Good instinct, he said. But I don't run from bullies. The machine lunged. Sonic moved. The next few minutes blurred together for Naruto. He ran, because running was the only thing that made sense, because staying still meant dying, because his body knew what to do even when his mind couldn't keep up. Trees whipped past. Roots tried to trip him. Branches clawed at his face. Behind him, the sounds of battle, metal crashing, explosions, and that strange whoosh of Sonic's impossible speed. He stumbled into another clearing, smaller than the first, just a circle of moss and a fallen log, and collapsed against a tree. His chest heaved. His legs burned. His eyes stung from smoke and fear and something else he refused to name. I'm going to die here. The thought came calmly now. Accepting. I'm going to die alone in a forest, and no one will even know. No one will care. They'll find my body and they'll say, good riddance, and they'll. A crash behind him. Naruto spun. Shadow stood at the edge of the clearing. He was battered, fur singed, one glove torn, a thin line of red across his cheek where something had cut him, but his eyes were the same. Empty. Unreadable. He looked at Naruto for a long moment. Then he sat down on the fallen log. They stayed like that for maybe a minute. Naruto pressed against his tree, Shadow on the log, either speaking. The sounds of distant battle continued, Sonic still fighting, still moving, still refusing to run. Why are you here? Naruto finally asked. Shadow didn't look at him. You were alone. The words hit harder than they should have. I'm always alone. Shadow's eyes flickered, just for a second, just barely, and in that flicker Naruto saw something he recognized. The same weight he carried. The same hollow space where other people kept their hope. Me too, Shadow said quietly. Another crash. Closer now. The sounds of battle were moving toward them. Shadow stood. Stay here, he said. When Sonic comes, run west. Keep running until you find water. Don't stop. What about you? Shadow's hand came up again. Green light gathered, different from before, deeper, almost angry. I'll hold them off. That's suicide. For the first time, Shadow looked directly at him. Those red eyes held Naruto's gaze, and in them was something that made his chest tighten. Maybe, Shadow said. But you're worth saving. He was gone before Naruto could respond, launching himself toward the sounds of battle, green energy trailing behind him like a dying star. Naruto stood frozen. You're worth saving. No one had ever said that to him. Not once. Not in 12 years of being called demon, of being shunned, of being alone. You're worth saving. The ground shook. Trees fell. Somewhere in the darkness, Sonic and Shadow were fighting for him, a stranger, a kid they'd known for 10 minutes, and Naruto realized with sudden, horrible clarity that he couldn't just run. He wasn't that person anymore. Maybe he never had been. His feet started moving before his brain caught up, Not west, toward water and safety, but east. Toward the battle. Toward the sounds of destruction. Toward people who needed him. The scene when he arrived was chaos. The machine had changed, split apart into smaller units, each one bristling with weapons, surrounding Sonic in a tightening circle. He was still moving, still impossibly fast, but even Naruto could see he was slowing. The grin was gone. His breath came in sharp gasps. Shadow was on the ground, one leg pinned under a chunk of debris, still hurling chaos spears with that same flat expression. But they were weaker now. Smaller. Flickering. A targeting laser settled on Sonic's chest. Naruto didn't think. He ran forward, hands already moving through the seals, not the clumsy ones from class, but the ones he practiced alone in his apartment, night after night, until his fingers bled. The one jutsu I'm good at. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Smoke exploded everywhere. Dozens of Narutos poured into the clearing, clumsy, imperfect, barely solid copies that couldn't fight worth anything, but there were dozens of them, and they were moving, and the targeting systems on Eggman's machines couldn't track them all. What? Sonic's voice, somewhere in the confusion. How? Run! All the Narutos shouted together. Get Shadow and run! The machines fired wildly, popping clones with every shot, but more kept coming. Naruto poured everything he had into the technique, every drop of chakra, every scrap of will, and the clones kept spawning, kept moving, kept being targets. Sonic appeared at Shadow's side, pulling debris off his leg. Shadow tried to stand, stumbled. Sonic caught him. West! Naruto shouted. There's water west! Go! Sonic looked at him, really looked, green eyes meeting blue, and for a second Naruto saw something like respect. Then Sonic was gone, a blue blur carrying a black one, disappearing into the trees. Naruto's clones kept popping, kept running, kept dying. And then there were none. He stood alone in the clearing, surrounded by smoke and the wreckage of machines, facing the largest unit. Its green eyes fixed on him. Weapons rotated into position. Well, Naruto thought. At least I wasn't alone at the end. The machine fired. He woke to the sound of water. Not the stream from before, something bigger. A river, maybe. He could hear it flowing, smooth and constant, carrying away the debris of battle. His eyes opened. Sky above. Dark now, stars just beginning to show. Trees around him, but different trees, older, thicker, their roots reaching down to touch the water. He was lying on a riverbank. Sonic sat nearby, knees drawn up, watching the water flow past. His fur was matted with soot, and what might have been blood. He looked exhausted in a way that went deeper than physical. Shadow was beside him, also sitting, also watching. His leg was bandaged, improvised strips torn from somewhere, wrapped tight, and his face was as unreadable as ever. Neither spoke. Naruto tried to sit up. Pain lanced through his side, not broken, probably, but bruised badly. He gasped. Sonic turned. Hey! No grin now. Just a quiet acknowledgement. You're awake. What happened? Eggman retreated. Portals closed. We're stuck here. Sonic paused. You saved us. Naruto stared at him. You saved us, Sonic repeated. With that copy thing. Shadow and I would be dead if you hadn't shown up. You're worth saving. The words echoed in Naruto's head, but they were different now. They weren't just something Shadow had said. They were something Naruto had done. I don't understand, he said. Why did you fight for me? You don't even know me. Sonic was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. Because you were alone. Because I know what that feels like. Because... He trailed off, then shook his head. Does it matter why? We fought for you because you needed us. That's what you do. Naruto looked at Shadow. The black hedgehog met his gaze steadily. You fought back, Shadow said quietly. When you could have run. That matters. The river flowed past. The stars came out one by one. 3 figures sat on the bank, strangers from different worlds, bound by something none of them had words for. Naruto's eyes burned. He looked away quickly, hoping they wouldn't see. Hoping they wouldn't ask. Hoping. Sonic's hand landed on his shoulder. Light. Brief. There and gone. Rest, Sonic said. Tomorrow we figure out what comes next. Naruto nodded without turning around. He didn't sleep. Not yet. But for the first time in 12 years, lying alone on a riverbank in a world that wasn't his, Naruto Uzumaki didn't feel quite so alone. Somewhere behind him, in the darkness, Shadow watched the stars and said nothing. Sonic watched the river and said nothing. And that was enough. The fire came later, small, carefully built, just enough light to push back the dark without drawing attention. Sonic had gathered the wood. Shadow had somehow lit it with a flicker of green energy that made Naruto's eyes widen. Neither explained. They sat around it now, the three of them, in a rough triangle. The silence had stretched for hours, but it wasn't uncomfortable anymore. It was just quiet. Naruto's side still hurt. His chakra felt thin and stretched, like he'd used too much and hadn't eaten in days. But he was alive. They were all alive. Eggman, he said finally. That's the bad guy. Sonic nodded. Brilliant scientist. Terrible person. Always trying to take over the world with giant robots. And the Chaos Emeralds? Magic rocks. Sonic's hand went to something at his side, a small pouch Naruto hadn't noticed before. They can do almost anything if you have all 7. Control time, space, reality. We use them for good. Eggman wants them for evil. Same story, different day. Naruto processed this. Magic rocks that controlled reality. Giant robots. Hedgehogs that ran faster than sound and threw green spears of light. I'm not dreaming, am I? Shadow almost smiled. Almost. No. Good. Naruto leaned back, wincing at the pain. Because my dreams aren't this weird. Sonic laughed, a real laugh, surprised out of him. It sounded rusty, like he hadn't used it in a while. Shadow's eyes flickered with something that might have been amusement. For a moment, just a moment, the weight lifted. Then Shadow's head snapped up, eyes narrowing. His hand came up automatically, green light flickering. What? Sonic was on his feet instantly, scanning the darkness. What is it? Shadow was quiet for a long moment. Then he relaxed, slightly, barely, but noticeably. Nothing, he said. I thought, never mind. He sat back down, but his eyes kept moving, kept watching, kept guarding. Naruto understood that look. He'd seen it in the mirror often enough. You're always watching, he said quietly. Even when there's nothing there. Shadow looked at him. So are you. The fire crackled. The river flowed. 2 orphans from different worlds sat across from each other, recognizing something in the other's eyes that words couldn't touch. Sonic watched them both, and for once, he didn't try to fill the silence with jokes. Tomorrow, they would figure out what came next. Tomorrow, they would face whatever Eggman threw at them. Tomorrow, they would start trying to find a way home. Tonight they sat by a fire on a riverbank in a world that wasn't theirs, and that was enough. The stars wheeled overhead. The fire burned low. Naruto's eyes finally closed. For the first time in years, he didn't dream of being alone. Naruto woke to the smell of damp ash and the sound of arguing. He kept his eyes closed for a moment, letting the voices wash over him, trying to piece together where he was and why everything hurt. Can't just leave him here. That's not practical. We can't take him with us, Sonic. You know this. Know what? That we should abandon a kid who saved our lives? Don't twist my words. Then explain it to me. Real slow. Because I'm not seeing your logic. Naruto opened his eyes. Sonic and Shadow stood at the edge of the riverbank, maybe 20 feet away, facing each other like they were about to fight. Sonic's arms were crossed, his stance wide, his expression somewhere between frustrated and angry. Shadow was perfectly still, hands at his sides, face blank, but there was something in his eyes that looked almost like regret. The longer we stay here, Shadow said quietly, the more time Eggman has to find us. We need to move. We need to find a way back. We can't do that while babysitting a child. He's not a child. He's a 12-year-old who can barely stand after last night. Look at him. Sonic glanced over. Naruto quickly closed his eyes again, but he knew it was too late. He'd been caught. Morning, Sonic said. His voice shifted, lighter, friendlier, like the argument had never happened. Sleep okay? Naruto sat up slowly. His side screamed at him. His head throbbed. His chakra felt like a shallow puddle instead of the deep well he was used to. Fine, he lied. Shadow's expression said he didn't believe it. They stood there in awkward silence for a long moment. The river gurgled past. Birds called somewhere in the distance. Naruto's stomach growled loudly enough that everyone heard it. Sonic grinned. Breakfast first. Arguments later. They ate sitting on rocks near the water's edge. Berries Sonic had found, some kind of root vegetable Shadow had pulled from the ground and declared safe, water cupped in hands because no one had anything better to drink from. It was the strangest meal Naruto had ever had, and also somehow the best. Shadow ate in silence, watching the tree line. Sonic ate quickly, like he was always in a hurry even when sitting still. Naruto ate slowly, savoring each bite, because he'd learned long ago not to waste food. I need to go back, he said finally. Sonic looked up. What? To the village. Konoha. People will be looking for me. He almost laughed at that. Looking for me, like anyone would actually care. I mean, I have to check in. Let them know I'm alive. Shadow's eyes narrowed slightly. Will they be glad to know that? The question hit harder than it should have. Naruto looked away. Doesn't matter. I have to go back. It's where I belong. Even if no one there wants me. He didn't say it aloud. He didn't have to. Sonic and Shadow exchanged a look, one of those silent conversations that spoke volumes. Naruto hated when people did that. Made him feel like a kid. We'll come with you, Sonic said. What? No. You have your own problems. Eggman, the emeralds, getting home. All of which can wait a few hours. Sonic stood, brushing dirt off his legs. Besides, I want to see this village of yours. Meet your friends. Naruto's chest tightened. Friends. I don't. He stopped. Swallowed. Fine. Whatever. It's your time to waste. Shadow rose smoothly, testing his injured leg. It held. We should move quickly. Eggman won't stay idle. They headed east, back toward Konoha. The walk took longer than it should have. Naruto kept having to stop, kept having to rest, kept having to pretend he wasn't as exhausted as he actually was. Sonic noticed. Of course he noticed, but didn't say anything. Just slowed down, found excuses to pause, pointed out interesting rocks and trees like a tour guide showing off scenery. Shadow said nothing, but his pace adjusted too. Always slightly behind Naruto, always watching. Not protecting, watching. Like he was cataloging weaknesses, filing them away for later. By the time they reached the village boundary, the old torii gate, still faded and peeling, Naruto was running on fumes. The gate looked different in daylight. Smaller. Less like an adventure and more like a warning. I need to go alone from here, Naruto said. You too, wait in the forest. I'll come back when I can. Sonic started to protest, but Shadow cut him off. How long? Few hours. Maybe less. Naruto wasn't sure. He wasn't sure of anything anymore. If I'm not back by dark, don't wait. He walked through the gate before either of them could respond. The village felt wrong. That was Naruto's first thought as he walked the familiar streets. Everything looked the same shops, same houses, same faces, but something had shifted. The air felt heavy. People moved differently. Eyes followed him longer than usual, lingered with something that wasn't quite suspicion. They know, he thought wildly. They know what happened. They know I left. They know I came back with Uzumaki. Naruto froze. Iruka stood in the street ahead of him, arms crossed, expression unreadable. He looked tired, more tired than usual, and there was something in his eyes that Naruto couldn't name. Iruka-sensei. Where were you? The words were flat. Not angry. Not relieved. Just flat. Naruto's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. The forest. I went into the forest. Past the gate. No point lying. Iruka would know anyway. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have. Do you have any idea how worried I was? The words cracked at the end. Just slightly. Just enough. Naruto stared. Iruka's face was doing something complicated, trying to stay stern, trying to be the disciplinarian, but underneath it was something raw and real that Naruto had never seen before. I checked your apartment. I checked the training grounds. I checked every place you've ever hidden. Iruka's voice dropped. I thought something had happened to you. I thought. He stopped. Looked away. Took a breath. You're not supposed to make me worry, he said quietly. You're just supposed to be a pain in the ass who paints monuments and fails tests. You're not supposed to disappear. Naruto didn't know what to say. He'd spent 12 years believing no one would notice if he vanished. 12 years convincing himself that the stares and whispers were all he'd ever get. 12 years learning to be alone. And now. You're bleeding, Irika said suddenly. Your side. What happened? Nothing. I fell. Don't lie to me. The words hung between them. Naruto felt something crack inside his chest, not breaking, just shifting. Making room for something he'd never let himself feel before. I really did fall, he said. But there was also. I met someone. 2 someones. In the forest. There. He stopped. How could he explain Sonic and Shadow? How could he explain battleships and chaos emeralds and hedgehogs that ran faster than sound? I need help, he said instead. They need help. And I don't know what to do. Irika looked at him for a long moment. Really looked. Like he was seeing Naruto for the first time. Then he sighed, the same tired sigh he always used, but underneath it was something different. Show me. Sonic saw them coming first. He'd been pacing the forest edge, not nervously, just moving because standing still felt wrong, when movement caught his eye. Naruto, walking slowly, looking exhausted. Beside him, a man with a ponytail and a scar across his nose, wearing some kind of uniform. Company, Sonic said quietly. Shadow appeared beside him. The boy brought someone. Yeah. Figured. They watched the pair approach. Naruto looked different. Softer around the edges. Like something had shifted inside him during those few hours in the village. When they reached the tree line, Naruto stopped. Irika-sensei, this is Sonic and Shadow. They're from another world. They're not dangerous. A pause. I think. Irika stared at the 2 hedgehogs. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Irika did something surprising. He laughed. It wasn't a mean laugh, or a dismissive one. It was the laugh of someone who'd reached their limit for weirdness and decided to just roll with it. Another world, he repeated. Hedgehogs that walk on 2 legs. Okay. Sure. Why not? He ran a hand through his hair. Naruto, I've got about 1,000 questions, but the first one is, are you hurt? A little. How little? Naruto hesitated. My side hurts. Chakra feels empty. But I'll be fine. Irika's eyes narrowed, but he let it go. For now. You too, he said, turning to Sonic and Shadow. I don't know you. I don't know your world. But Naruto trusts you enough to bring you here, so I'm willing to listen. What do you need? Sonic glanced at Shadow. Shadow gave a tiny nod. We need a place to rest, Sonic said. A place to plan. Eggman, the one who attacked us, he's still out there. He'll come looking for us eventually. When he does, this village could be in danger. Irika's expression hardened. You're saying you brought a threat to our doorstep. I'm saying we didn't have a choice. Sonic's voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. The portal dumped us here. We didn't pick the landing spot. But we're not leaving until we figure out how to get home, and until then, we'll do everything we can to protect this place. Irika studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Follow me. We'll find somewhere safe to talk. The place Irika took them was small, a storage shed behind the academy, filled with training equipment and old scrolls. It smelled like dust and sweat, but it was private. No windows. 1 door. Safe. Sonic leaned against a stack of mats. Shadow stood by the door, facing outward, always watching. Naruto sat on an old crate, trying not to wince every time he moved. Irika stood in the center, arms crossed. Start from the beginning, he said. All of it. So they did. Sonic talked about his world, about Green Hill Zone and Station Square and the constant battles with Eggman. About the Chaos Emeralds and what they could do. About how Eggman had captured 6 of them, and how Sonic and Shadow had grabbed the 7th just as the doctor tried to use them all at once, causing a reaction that tore open a portal and dumped them here. Shadow talked when he had to, short sentences, minimal details, nothing personal. He explained chaos energy the way someone might explain math to a child, precise, technical, stripped of emotion. But Naruto noticed the way his eyes flickered when he mentioned the emeralds. Like they meant something more than just power. Irika listened without interrupting. When they finished, he was quiet for a long time. Chakra and chaos energy, he said finally. They're similar, but not the same. Both come from inside, both can be shaped by will, But the mechanics are different. If Eggman tries to use his emeralds here, there's no telling what might happen. We know, Shadow said. That's why we need to stop him before he tries. Stop him how? You said he has 6 emeralds. That's 6 against 1. Sonic's hand went to his pouch. We've got this one. And we've got each other. It's not nothing. It's not enough. Maybe not. But it's what we have. Iruka looked at Naruto. You're involved in this now, he said. You know that, right? If Eggman comes here, if he finds out you help them, he won't care that you're 12. He'll treat you like an enemy. Naruto met his eyes. I know. And you're okay with that? Naruto thought about it. Really thought about it. Thought about the way Sonic had grabbed him without hesitation. Thought about Shadow saying you're worth saving. Thought about fighting back when he could have run. They saved my life, he said quietly. They fought for me when they didn't have to. I'm not going to abandon them just because it's dangerous. Iruka's expression softened. All right, he said. Then we do this together. The plan, such as it was, came together slowly. Shadow would track Eggman's energy signature. Apparently Chaos Emeralds left traces that he could follow, even at a distance. Sonic would scout, using his speed to cover ground and gather information. Iruka would coordinate, using his knowledge of the village and surrounding area to predict where Eggman might go. Naruto would rest. He hated that part. I can fight, he insisted. I helped before. I can help again. You can barely stand, Iruka said flatly. You used too much chakra last night. If you try to fight now, you'll collapse. Or worse. I don't care. You should. The words hung in the air. Naruto looked away, jaw tight. He did care, that was the problem. He cared more than he'd ever cared about anything, and it terrified him. Sonic moved to sit beside him. Hey. Quiet. Not joking now. I get it. You want to help. You want to prove yourself. I've been there. A pause. But Iruka's right. If you push too hard, you'll be useless when we really need you. Rest now. Fight later. Naruto didn't answer. I'll make you a deal. Sonic's voice lightened slightly. You rest today. Let your body heal. And tomorrow, if there's still a fight, you're in. Deal? Naruto looked at him. Sonic's green eyes were steady. No pity. No condescension. Just belief. Like he actually thought Naruto could make a difference. Deal, Naruto said quietly. Sonic grinned. The day passed slowly. Naruto slept, real sleep, deep and dreamless, for the first time in longer than he could remember. When he woke, the light through the shed's cracks had shifted to late afternoon. He was alone. Voices outside. He stood carefully, testing his side. Still sore, but better. Much better. His chakra had returned too, that familiar warmth, the sense of being full instead of empty. He wasn't at full strength, not yet, but he could fight if he had to. He pushed the door open. Sonic and Shadow stood a few yards away, talking quietly. Iruka was there too, along with someone else, a woman with dark hair and kind eyes, wearing an apron dusted with flour. Can stay at my place tonight, the woman was saying. It's small, but it's safe. And I can make dinner. Naruto! Sonic spotted him. Feeling better? Naruto nodded, stepping out of the shed. Who's this? I am, the woman said, smiling. I run the ramen stand near the gate. Iruka told me about your guests. Her eyes flickered to Sonic and Shadow, and for just a second, Naruto saw surprise, but she hid it quickly. They can't stay in a shed forever. Ramen stand? Naruto's stomach growled loudly. I laughed. Come on. First bowl's on the house. Ichiraku ramen looked exactly the same as always, small counter, warm lights, the smell of broth filling the air. Naruto had eaten here hundreds of times, always alone, always pretending he didn't notice the other customers moving away from him. Tonight was different. Tonight Sonic sat on one side of him, eating ramen like he'd never seen food before, making approving noises between slurps. Shadow sat on the other side, eating more slowly, more carefully, but with something like enjoyment flickering behind his usual mask. Iruka sat across from them, watching with an expression Naruto couldn't read. I kept bringing bowls, kept asking questions, kept treating them all like normal customers. For the first time in his life, Naruto ate ramen and felt like he belonged somewhere. So, Sonic said between bowls. This Ninetales thing. What's that about? Naruto froze. Irika's eyes sharpened. Where did you hear about that? Naruto mentioned it last night. Well, sort of. He said something about being a demon container and I didn't. Naruto started. You did. When you were half asleep by the fire. You said they're right, I am a demon. Sonic's voice was gentle. I was going to ask later. This seems like later. The silence stretched. Naruto stared at his bowl. The broth had gone cold. The Ninetales attacked our village 12 years ago, Irika said quietly. It was massive. Destructive. It killed a lot of people. He paused. The fourth Hokage stopped it, but at the cost of his life. And he sealed the fox inside. He trailed off. Inside Naruto, Shadow said. It wasn't a question. Yes. Sonic and Shadow exchanged another one of those looks. That's why the villagers stare at him, Sonic said slowly. That's why he's alone. Yes. Naruto kept staring at his bowl. He didn't want to see their faces. Didn't want to see the disgust, the fear, the way everyone looked at him eventually. A hand landed on his shoulder. Sonic. That's messed up, Sonic said quietly. You were a baby. You didn't choose that. And they treat you like it's your fault? Naruto looked up. Sonic's face held no disgust. No fear. Just anger. Quiet anger, directed somewhere else. The ones who should be ashamed are them, Sonic said. Not you. Something cracked inside Naruto's chest again. That same shifting, that same making room. It's fine, he heard himself say. I'm used to it. You shouldn't have to be. Shadow spoke for the first time since they'd sat down. The fox inside you. Can you control it? Naruto shook his head. No. It hates me. I've only felt its chakra a few times, when I was really angry or really scared. It's dark. Angry. I don't want to use it. Shadow nodded slowly. I understand. And somehow, looking at those red eyes, Naruto knew he really did. Night fell. Iam's apartment was small, one bedroom, a tiny kitchen, a living space barely big enough for 3 people to sit without touching. Sonic had claimed the floor, saying he'd slept on worse. Shadow had taken a spot by the window, where he could watch. Naruto got the couch. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the village settling into sleep. They know now, he thought. They know about the fox. They know what I am. But they hadn't run. Hadn't looked at him differently. Hadn't treated him like a monster. Why? The question circled in his head, unanswered. A soft sound from the window. Shadow's shifting position. Can't sleep? Naruto whispered. A pause. No. Me neither. More silence. Then, quietly. Why did you help us? Naruto thought about it. Because you needed help, he said finally. And because no one ever helped me when I needed it. I didn't want you to feel like that. Another pause. Longer this time. When Shadow spoke, his voice was so quiet Naruto almost missed it. I was created in a lab. Artificial. Made to be the ultimate life form. A pause. My best friend, the only person who ever truly accepted me, died. And I couldn't save her. Naruto's breath caught. I understand being alone, Shadow said. I understand being seen as a weapon instead of a person. I understand carrying something inside that isn't yours. Naruto didn't know what to say. So he said nothing. Just lay there, listening to Shadow breathe, feeling the weight of those words settle into the space between them. After a long time, Shadow spoke again. You're not a monster, Naruto. Neither am I. We're what we choose to be. The words wrapped around Naruto like a blanket. He didn't sleep for a long time after that. But for the first time in his life, lying alone in the dark didn't feel quite so lonely. Morning came too fast. Naruto woke to the smell of food and the sound of Sonic's voice, already bright and alert despite the early hour. Definitely getting closer. I covered about 50 miles this morning and picked up traces near the old ruins east of here. This morning, Naruto sat up groggily. He went scouting before dawn. Shadow was already at the window, more alert than he'd been last night. How close? Close. A day, maybe less. He's moving slow, probably building something. You know Eggman. Can't just attack, has to make an entrance. Naruto stumbled into the kitchen area. Ayam was there, handing out rice balls to Sonic, who took them gratefully. She spotted Naruto and smiled. Morning. Eat something. You'll need your strength. He took a rice ball mechanically, mind still catching up. Eggman's coming, he said. Tomorrow. Today, Sonic corrected. Maybe tonight if he pushes. He's got those emeralds, remember? They can do a lot. Naruto's stomach clenched. Iruka appeared at the door, looking grim. The Hokage knows. Everyone froze. I had to report it, Iruka said, holding up a hand. Strange energy signatures, possible threats to the village. I couldn't keep it secret. The third wants to meet you. Both of you. Sonic glanced at Shadow. Shadow gave a tiny nod. Fine, Sonic said. Let's go meet this Hokage. The Hokage's office was bigger than Naruto remembered. Or maybe it just felt bigger because he was walking into it with people who mattered, people who wouldn't be dismissed or ignored. The third Hokage sat behind his desk, pipe in hand, eyes sharp despite his age. He studied Sonic and Shadow with the kind of attention that made Naruto want to hide. So, the Hokage said finally. Visitors from another world. I've seen many strange things in my years, but this. He shook his head. Sit. Tell me everything. They did. Sonic did most of the talking, with Shadow filling in details about chaos energy and the emeralds. The Hokage listened without interrupting, asking questions only occasionally, about Eggman's capabilities, about the nature of dimensional travel, about what they needed to get home. When they finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Dr. Eggman poses a threat to my village, he said finally. Intentional or not, his presence here endangers my people. That makes him my problem. We understand, Sonic said. We'll handle it. We just need. You'll handle it together. The Hokage's voice was firm. I'm assigning a team to assist you. Ninja trained in combat, tracking, and strategy. You'll have their full cooperation. Sonic blinked. That's generous. It's practical. You know your enemy. They know this world. Together you have a better chance. The Hokage's eyes moved to Naruto. Uzumaki. You'll be part of this team. Naruto's heart stopped. Me? You've already proven yourself capable under pressure. And you have a connection to our guests that others lack. The Hokage's expression softened slightly. Besides, I have a feeling you're not the kind of person who stays on the sidelines. Naruto didn't know what to say. Iruka put a hand on his shoulder. I'll be there too. We'll do this together. Together. The word echoed in Naruto's head as they left the office, as they walked back through the village, as they gathered in Ayam's apartment to plan. Together. For the first time in his life, Naruto Uzumaki wasn't alone. And tomorrow, when Eggman came, he would fight beside people who actually wanted him there. He couldn't wait. The ruins east of Konoha had been empty for centuries. Naruto knew the stories, whispered tales of an old civilization, wiped out by war or disease or something worse. The village kids used to dare each other to go near the place, to touch the crumbling stones, to prove they weren't scared. Naruto had done it once years ago. Walked right up to the edge, placed his palm against weathered rock, felt nothing but cold. He'd been disappointed. He'd wanted the stories to be true. Now, crouched in the bush a quarter-mile away, watching smoke rise from among the ruins, he wished the stories had been true. Wished there was something here that could explain the massive shape taking form against the gray sky. That's not just a base, Iruka breathed beside him. That's a fortress. Sonic was already moving, a blue blur circling the perimeter, too fast to track, too fast to catch. Shadow stood motionless at the tree line, eyes fixed on the construction, one hand pressed against the ground. 6 emeralds, he said quietly. He's using all of them. To build that? Naruto asked. To power it. The structure itself is just metal. The energy keeping it together, keeping it moving, that's chaos. Naruto looked again at the fortress. It was ugly, all sharp angles and exposed machinery, smoke belching from vents, searchlights sweeping the surrounding forest. Even half-finished, it dwarfed anything in Konoha. Towered over the trees like a monument to someone's ego. We need to stop him before it's done, Iruka said. How? We can't even get close without those lights spotting us. As if on cue, one of the searchlights swept toward their position. Naruto pressed lower, heart hammering. The light passed over, kept moving. Night, Shadow said. We go at night. That's hours away. Then we wait. Irika's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Fine. We wait. Waiting was the hardest part. Naruto had never been good at sitting still, too much energy, too many thoughts, too much wanting to move. But he'd learned, over years of being alone, how to make himself small. How to disappear into shadows. How to wait for something that might never come. He watched the fortress grow as the afternoon wore on. More metal arrived, flown in by Eggman's ships, carried by machines that walked on spider legs. The structure expanded upward, sprouting weapons and antennae and things Naruto didn't recognize. Green energy pulsed through it like blood through veins. Chaos energy, he thought. Shadow said it's like chakra but different. What happens when they mix? He didn't know. Didn't want to find out. Sonic came back as the light started to fade, appearing beside them so suddenly that Naruto nearly screamed. Perimeter's clear, he said quietly. Well, clearish. There's patrols now, Badnik's, Eggman's robots. They're on a loop. I mapped it. He crouched and started drawing in the dirt with a finger. Rough circles, lines, arrows. A map. Guards here, here, and here. Heaviest near the main entrance. But there's a weak spot. He marked an X. Here. Old tunnel, looks like it leads under the ruins. Probably connects to the fortress foundation. How do you know it's not guarded? Irika asked. Because I checked. No bots, no lights, no nothing. It's been sealed for centuries. Eggman probably doesn't even know it's there. Or it's a trap. Sonic grinned. Always a possibility. But what's life without a little risk? Irika didn't look amused. Shadow spoke without turning. He's right. It's our best option. We go in through the tunnel, find the emeralds, and disable them. Without their power, the fortress collapses. And Eggman? Optional. Naruto blinked at that. Optional. Like the man who tried to kill them was just optional. Splitting up, Sonic said. Shadow and I take the tunnel. You too. He looked at Irika and Naruto. Stay here. Be ready to move if things go wrong. No. Naruto's voice came out harder than he expected. Sonic raised an eyebrow. I'm coming with you. Kid. I'm coming with you. Naruto's hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. I'm not sitting here while you two do all the fighting. I can help. I will help. Sonic looked at him for a long moment. Then at Irika. He your student? Irika sighed. Unfortunately. That stubbornness, did he learn it from you? I blame myself every day. Naruto ignored them both. I'm coming. Sonic's grin returned. All right. But if I say run, you run. No arguments. Deal. Shadow finally turned. Those red eyes fixed on Naruto, and for a moment, Naruto felt like he was being weighed. Measured. Found wanting or worthy, he couldn't tell which. Don't slow us down, Shadow said. I won't. Shadow held his gaze a moment longer, then nodded once. They moved out as the last light died. The tunnel was exactly where Sonic had marked. Naruto had expected something grand, ancient stonework, carvings, evidence of the civilization that built it. Instead, it was just a hole in the ground, barely wide enough for one person, dropping into darkness so complete it felt solid. Ladies first, Sonic whispered. Shadow dropped without hesitation, landing softly somewhere below. A moment later, green light flickered, chaos energy, illuminating the tunnel from within. Naruto went next. The drop was longer than he expected, 15 feet, maybe 20. He landed awkwardly, stumbled, caught himself on the wall. Dirt crumbled under his fingers. Sonic landed beside him, silent as a ghost. The tunnel stretched ahead, low-ceilinged and narrow. Shadow's light showed rough walls, roots breaking through, the occasional skitter of something small and many-legged. This way, Shadow murmured. They walked. Minutes passed. The tunnel curved, dipped, rose again. Naruto lost track of direction, of distance, of everything except the steady rhythm of footsteps and the weight of darkness pressing in. Then the tunnel ended. Not in a cave-in or a dead end, but in a wall of worked stone. Different from the tunnel walls, smoother, older, covered in markings that caught Shadow's light and threw it back in strange patterns. Writing, Sonic said. Can you read it? Shadow studied the markings. No. It's not from my world. Mine either. They both looked at Naruto. He stepped forward, squinting at the symbols. They were familiar. Not the characters he'd learned at the academy, but something older. Something he'd seen in scrolls, in the Hokage's office, in. This is sealing script, he said slowly. Old style. Really old. Like centuries old. Can you read it? Some of it. He traced a symbol with his finger. This means bound. This means sleep. This one. He frowned. This one means chaos. Sonic and Shadow exchanged a look. Your world knows about chaos energy? Sonic asked. I don't think so. I think. Naruto stopped. Thought. I think whatever civilization built this place, they knew something. They were trying to control it. Or contain it. Contain what? Naruto looked at the wall again. At the symbols woven together into a pattern that made his skin crawl. I don't know. But whatever it was, they didn't want it getting out. Silence. Then Shadow pressed his palm against the stone. The symbols flared, bright, angry red, and the wall dissolved. Not crumbled. Not broke. Dissolved into particles of light that swirled once and vanished, revealing a space beyond that stole Naruto's breath. The chamber was huge. Bigger than the Hokage's office, bigger than the academy, bigger than anything Naruto had ever seen underground. Pillars rose toward a ceiling lost in darkness. The floor was smooth stone, carved with more symbols, more patterns. And in the center, a pedestal. And on the pedestal, Chaos Emeralds. Shadow breathed. They were beautiful. 7 gems, no 6, Naruto counted quickly, glowing with inner light, hovering above the pedestal in a slow, eternal dance. Green, red, blue, yellow, white, and one so deep purple it was almost black. I thought Eggman had them all, Sonic said. I thought. He does. Shadow's voice was tight. Those are his. He brought them here. Then why are they just sitting there? No one answered. The chamber felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. The emeralds pulsed with energy, but it was a sleepy pulse, a slow pulse, like a heart beating in slow motion. Naruto took a step forward. The symbols on the floor flared. Naruto! Sonic started. Too late. The floor opened. They fell. Not far, 10 feet maybe, but hard enough to knock the wind out. Naruto hit packed earth, rolled, came up gasping. Beside him, Sonic was already on his feet, eyes scanning. Shadow landed silently, green light already gathering in his palm. They were in another chamber. Smaller. Rougher. The ceiling above was closed, no sign of the hole they'd fallen through. A trap, Sonic said. Of course it was a trap. Focus. Shadow's voice was calm. Find a way out. Naruto's eyes adjusted. The chamber was empty except for them. No doors, no windows, no exits of any kind. Just dirt walls and a ceiling too high to reach. We're sealed in, he said quietly. Sonic started pacing, checking every inch of wall, looking for weakness. Shadow stood still, eyes closed, energy flickering around him like a second skin. Naruto pressed his palm against the dirt. Felt nothing. No vibration, no sound, no hint of what lay beyond. They knew we were coming, he said. Eggman. He set this up. Probably. Sonic's voice was tight. Doesn't matter. We'll find another way. There is no other way. The words came from Shadow, but his voice was different. Distant. Like he was speaking from somewhere else. Naruto looked at him. Shadow's eyes were open now, but they weren't looking at the walls. They were looking through them. At something only he could see. The emeralds, Shadow said. They're calling to me. What? Chaos energy. It resonates. The 6 down here, the one I carry, they're connected. I can feel them. All of them. He reached into his quills and pulled out a small pouch. The 7th emerald, green, glowing faintly even through the cloth. If I use this, Shadow said slowly, I can open a path. But it will alert Eggman. He'll know exactly where we are. Then don't, Sonic said. We'll find another. There is no other way. Shadow's voice was final. We're trapped. The emeralds are right above us. And every minute we wait, Eggman gets closer to whatever he's planning. Naruto looked at Shadow's face. At the emptiness in those red eyes. At the weight he carried so quietly that most people would never notice. What happens when you use it? Naruto asked. Shadow glanced at him. I don't know. Chaos energy is unpredictable. In this world, with this much power concentrated, anything could happen. Then why risk it? Because the alternative is dying here. The words hung in the air. Naruto thought about dying. Thought about being forgotten, being alone, being nothing. Thought about the way Sonic had grabbed him without hesitation, the way Shadow had said you're worth saving. No, he said. Both hedgehogs looked at him. I won't let you do that, Naruto said. There has to be another way. There's always another way. There isn't. There is. Naruto's voice cracked. There has to be. Because I just found you. I just found people who don't look at me like I'm a monster. And I'm not losing that. I'm not losing you. Silence. Sonic's expression softened. Shadow's didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes, something that looked almost like pain. Kid, Sonic said gently. We're not going anywhere. We're just... You don't know that. Naruto's hands were shaking. You don't know what happens when he uses that thing. You don't know if he comes back. You don't know anything. I know I'm not leaving you. Shadow's voice was quiet, but it cut through everything. Whatever happens, I'm not leaving you. Naruto stared at him. Shadow held out the emerald. Take it. What? Take the emerald. You have chakra, maybe you can use it differently. Maybe you can create a path without triggering Eggman's alarms. His eyes were steady. I trust you. Naruto's heart stopped. I trust you. No one had ever said that to him. Not once. Not in 12 years of being called demon, of being alone, of being nothing. His hand reached out. Closed around the emerald. The moment he touched it, everything changed. Power flooded through him. Not like chakra. Chakra was warm, familiar, his. This was different. This was cold and hot at the same time, burning and freezing, filling every cell with something that felt like lightning and starlight and the space between heartbeats. The chamber vanished. Naruto stood somewhere else, nowhere, everywhere. Space stretched around him, infinite and empty, filled with points of light that pulsed like living things. Chaos, a voice whispered. Not a voice, really. More like an echo of a thought. You carry chaos. I don't. You carry the fox. The fox carries chaos. Always have. Always will. Naruto looked down at himself. He could see through his own skin, see the chakra networks, the pathways, the seals. And there, at his core, something massive and dark and angry stirred. The Ninetales. It was looking at him. Not through him, not past him, at him. With eyes that burned like suns. Child, the fox said. What have you done? I didn't. You've opened a door. A door that should have stayed closed. The fox's voice was ancient. Tired. The chaos you hold, it calls to me. Calls to the seal. Calls to everything. I don't understand. No. You never do. The fox's presence surged, and Naruto felt something shift inside him. Something fundamental. Something that would change everything. Then he was back in the chamber, gasping, the emerald still clutched in his hand. Sonic caught him as he fell. Hey, kid, what happened? Your eyes, they were glowing. Naruto couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The emerald in his hand was dark now. Drained. Empty. And somewhere deep inside him, the Ninetales laughed. Above them, in the fortress, Eggman watched his monitors with growing satisfaction. The boy had touched the emerald. Just as planned. Just as the readings had predicted. Fascinating, he murmured. The chakra signature is merging. Adapting. I've never seen anything like it. He tapped a few keys, bringing up new data. Energy readings. Dimensional coordinates. Chaos fluctuations. The boy wasn't just a container for the fox. He was a key. A bridge between worlds. A way to access power beyond anything Eggman had ever imagined. Change of plans? Eggman announced to his empty command center. Forget the fortress. Forget the emeralds. That boy is worth all of them combined. He smiled, wide and sharp and hungry. Bring me Naruto Uzumaki. Alive. And bring me whoever gets in the way. Dead. The badniks marched out to obey. In the chamber, Naruto was still trying to breathe. The emerald had gone dark. Completely dark. Like a rock instead of a power source. Shadow took it from his numb fingers, turning it over, studying it with an expression that might have been fear. It's empty, he said quietly. All the chaos energy, gone. Where did it go? Sonic asked. They both looked at Naruto. He shook his head. Couldn't speak. Couldn't explain. Could barely think past the fox's laughter echoing in his skull. You wanted power, child. Now you have it. Let's see what you do. The ground above them rumbled. Company, Sonic said. He was right. The ceiling was cracking, not from above, but from below. Something was digging toward them. Something big. Naruto forced himself to stand. His legs shook. His hands shook. Everything shook. But he stood. I can fight, he said. I can. Save it. Sonic was already moving, positioning himself between Naruto and the cracking ceiling. You're in no shape to. The ceiling exploded inward. Dirt and stone rained down. Through the gap came machines, badniks, a dozen of them, their optics glowing red in the darkness. And behind them, larger shapes. Things with claws and drills and weapons Naruto didn't recognize. Chaos Spear! Shadow's attack lanced through the first wave, destroying 3 badniks instantly. Sonic was a blur, tearing through others, leaving sparks and smoke in his wake. But more kept coming. And more. And more. We can't hold this! Sonic shouted over the chaos. There's too many! Shadow didn't answer. He was fighting silently, efficiently, each motion precise and deadly. But even he was slowing. Even he couldn't keep this up forever. Naruto watched them fight. Watched them bleed. Watched them sacrifice themselves for him. You wanted power, the fox whispered. Take it. No. They'll die without it. I said no. He pushed the voice away. Pushed the darkness away. Pushed everything away except the one thing he knew he could do. His hands came together. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu! Smoke exploded everywhere. Dozens of Narutos poured into the chamber, clumsy, imperfect, barely solid copies, but there were dozens of them, and they threw themselves at the badniks with everything they had. Not to fight. To hold. To buy time. Run! All the Narutos shouted together. Get out and run! Sonic grabbed Shadow. Shadow grabbed Naruto, the real one, slumped and gasping, and they were moving, running through the gap the badniks had made, climbing toward light and air and hope. Behind them, the clones fought and died. One by one. Until there were none. They emerged into night. The forest was burning. Eggman's fortress loomed above them, weapons now active, searchlights sweeping. The sounds of battle echoed from everywhere and nowhere. Naruto collapsed at the tree line. Sonic and Shadow stood over him, breathing hard, watching the sky. We need to move, Shadow said. Now. He can't. Sonic's voice was quiet. Look at him. Naruto's eyes were open, but he wasn't seeing them. He was seeing something else, something inside himself. The fox's power, stirred by chaos energy, rising like a tide. Let me out, the fox whispered. Let me help. No, Naruto gasped. They'll die without me. I don't care. You do. You care more than you've ever cared about anything. Naruto closed his eyes. The fox was right. He did care. He cared about Sonic's grin and Shadow's quiet strength and Iruka's tired concern and Iam's warm ramen and the way it felt to not be alone. He cared so much it hurt. And if caring meant risking the fox. Yes, the fox whispered. Risk me. Use me. That's what I'm for. Naruto opened his eyes. Sonic. Shadow. His voice was steadier than he felt. I need you to trust me. They looked at him. I need you to trust me, he repeated. Even if what I'm about to do scares you. Even if I scare you. Can you do that? Sonic glanced at Shadow. Shadow gave a tiny nod. Always, Sonic said. Naruto closed his eyes again. And reached inside. The power that answered was like nothing he'd ever felt. Chakra and chaos, mixing, merging, becoming something new. The fox's energy rose to meet it, not fighting now, but joining. For the first time in 12 years, the Ninetales wasn't trying to break free. It was trying to help. Naruto's skin glowed red. Then green. Then both at once. His eyes opened, and they weren't his eyes anymore. They were fox-slit, burning, ancient. Around him, the air rippled. The ground shook. Eggman's fortress, high above, groaned like a wounded beast. And Naruto Uzumaki, 12 years old, dead last, demon container, stood up and faced the darkness with something that looked almost like a smile. Let's finish this. The world looked different through the fox's eyes. Naruto had always imagined the Ninetales as pure hatred, a mass of rage and destruction with nothing else inside. That's what the villagers said. That's what the scrolls implied. That's what he'd believed for 12 years. He'd been wrong. The fox's consciousness was vast, an ocean of memories stretching back centuries. Battles fought. Lands conquered. Humans who had feared it, worshipped it, tried to use it. And underneath all of it, something Naruto never expected. Loneliness. You think you're the only one who knows what it's like to be hated for what you are. The fox's voice was quieter now. Not a roar, more like a rumble deep underground. I've been alone longer than your village has existed. Longer than your nation. Longer than most things in this world. Naruto stood at the edge of the burning forest, feeling power surge through him like a second heartbeat. Sonic and Shadow were behind him. He could sense them without looking, feel their presence like warmth at his back. Above, Eggman's fortress loomed, weapons tracking, searchlights sweeping. But none of that mattered right now. What mattered was the voice inside him that wasn't his own. Why are you helping me? He asked silently. A pause. Then, because you're mine. The words should have been terrifying. Should have confirmed everything the villagers feared. Instead, they just sounded tired. Mine to protect. Mine to watch. Mine to. The fox stopped. I don't have words for it. Not in your language. Not in any language. Naruto didn't understand. But he didn't have time to ask. The first missile struck 20 feet away. Sonic moved before the explosion finished, grabbing Naruto, dragging him clear, dodging the follow-up shots that cratered the ground where they'd been standing. Shadow was already airborne, green energy lancing toward the fortress, targeting the weapons emplacements one by one. You okay? Sonic shouted over the chaos. Naruto looked at his hands. They were still glowing, faint red, faint green, the colors swirling together like paint in water. He felt strong. Stronger than he'd ever felt. But also wrong. Like he was wearing someone else's skin. I don't know, he admitted. Yeah, that's fair. Sonic was already scanning for the next threat. Look, whatever's happening to you, we'll figure it out. But first we need to survive. Can you run? Naruto tested his legs. They worked. Better than worked, they felt like they could carry him anywhere. Yeah. Good. Stay close to Shadow. Hill. The ground exploded between them. Not a missile, something else. A drill, massive and spinning, bursting up from below like the world's deadliest flower. Its tip opened, panels sliding back to reveal Eggman. He sat in some kind of cockpit, surrounded by screens and controls, grinning with the kind of confidence that only came from absolute certainty in your own superiority. Sonic! Shadow! And the little boy who glows! His voice boomed from speakers. I must say, this is better than I hoped. The dimensional readings were fascinating enough, but this. He gestured at Naruto. This is something special. Eggman. Sonic's voice was flat. Give it up. You're not getting the emeralds. Oh, I don't need the emeralds anymore. Eggman's grin widened. Not when I have him. That boy, that beautiful boy, he's absorbed chaos energy. Do you have any idea what that means? Any idea what I could learn from studying him? The word studying hit Naruto like a punch. You're not touching him, Shadow said. He was already moving, chaos spear forming, aiming directly at Eggman's cockpit. But the doctor was faster. A shield snapped up, deflecting the attack. And behind him, more badniks were emerging from the drill's hold, pouring onto the battlefield like metal insects. Take them, Eggman ordered. Take them all. But the boy comes to me unharmed. The badniks charged. Fighting with Fox Chakra was different. Naruto had always been clumsy in combat, too eager, too unfocused, too much without enough control. The academy drills never stuck. Irika's patient corrections never quite landed. He'd learned to compensate with numbers, with clones, with sheer stubborn refusal to stay down. But now he saw things before they happened. A bandit lunging from the left, he was already moving, already ducking, already countering with a punch that shouldn't have done anything but somehow did, crumpling metal like paper. Another from behind, he spun without looking, kicked without aiming, felt something crack satisfyingly under his heel. The fox sees through your eyes, the voice explained. And you see through mine. Together, we see everything. Is this what you feel? Naruto gasped between movements. All the time? No. This is what we feel. Together. It's different. Different was one word for it. Terrifying was another. Exhilarating was a third. Naruto caught himself smiling. Sonic noticed. Hard not to, the kid was glowing, literally glowing, and moving with a grace he definitely hadn't shown before. The clumsy 12-year-old from yesterday was gone. In his place was someone who fought like he'd been doing it for years. What happened to him? Sonic asked, landing beside Shadow between waves. Shadow's eyes were fixed on Naruto. The chaos energy. It's merged with his chakra. With the fox inside him. That's possible? Apparently. A pause. He's stronger now. Faster. More aware. But. Shadow's expression didn't change, but his voice dropped. But he's also a target. Eggman saw what I saw. That boy is a living Chaos Emerald now. Maybe more. Sonic felt his stomach clench. Can we reverse it? I don't know. Then we protect him until we figure it out. Shadow nodded once. Agreed. They plunged back into the fight. The badniks kept coming. For every one Naruto destroyed, 2 more took its place. For every 2 Sonic blitzed, 4 more emerged from the drill. Eggman had brought an army, maybe his whole army, and he was throwing every single unit at them. Naruto's arms ached. His legs burned. The fox power was fading, flickering, like a candle running out of wax. You're pushing too hard, the fox warned. The energy is finite. If you use it all. Then I'll use it all. Naruto crushed another badnik's head. I'm not letting them get hurt because I held back. Stupid child. Sacrifice isn't. I know sacrifice. Naruto's voice cracked. I know what it's like to give up everything and get nothing back. But this isn't that. This is different. This is choice. The fox was silent. Then, you really are something, aren't you? I'm Naruto Uzumaki. That's all I've ever been. No. The fox's voice was strange now. Almost gentle. That's all they ever let you be. But you're so much more. The power surged again, brighter this time, steadier. Not because the fox was giving it, but because Naruto was taking it. Claiming it. Making it his. The badniks fell back. For a moment, there was silence. Then Eggman's voice boomed across the battlefield. Enough. The drill's main cannon rotated toward them. Charging! Glowing with the same green energy Naruto had seen in the emeralds. You've forced my hand, Eggman announced. I wanted the boy alive, but I'll settle for his essence. The energy inside him, once I extract it, once I have it. Chaos Spear! Shadow's attack hit the cannon mid-charge. The resulting explosion was massive, sending all of them flying, tearing through badniks, cratering the earth. When Naruto's ears stopped ringing, he saw Eggman's drill crumpled and smoking. Motionless. But Eggman himself was gone. They found him an hour later, as dawn broke over the ruined forest. He was sitting against a tree, half buried in debris, one arm bent at a wrong angle. His glasses were cracked. His mustache was singed. He looked small. Human. Nothing like the monster who'd commanded armies. Sonic approached slowly, hands visible, no threat in his stance. Eggman. The doctor looked up. For a moment, his eyes held the same old defiance. Then it faded. I lost, he said quietly. I actually lost. The emeralds? Gone. Scattered. The explosion sent them, somewhere. I don't know where. He laughed, a broken sound. 6 emeralds. My whole army. My fortress. All gone. Because of a child. Naruto stepped forward. Eggman's eyes focused on him. Sharpened. You, he breathed. You're not normal. You're not even from here, really. You're something else entirely. Naruto didn't answer. What are you? Eggman asked. What's inside you? None of your business. No, I suppose not. Eggman's head fell back against the tree. Well, do what you're going to do. Kill me, imprison me, whatever. I've lost either way. Naruto looked at Sonic. Sonic shrugged. Your call. He looked at Shadow. Shadow's face was unreadable, but his eyes said choose carefully. Then he looked at Eggman. At the broken man who tried to destroy them, who tried to study him, who'd caused so much pain in so little time. I'm not going to kill you, Naruto said. Eggman blinked. What? I'm not going to kill you. That's not who I am. He paused. But I'm not letting you go either. You're too dangerous. Eggman stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he laughed again, not broken this time, but something else. Something almost like respect. You really are something special, boy. Naruto turned away. I know. They bound Eggman with materials scavenged from the wreckage, rope, chains, whatever they could find. He didn't resist. Didn't even try. Just watched them with those sharp eyes, cataloging everything, storing it away for later. The sun was fully up by the time they finished. Naruto sat on a fallen log, exhausted down to his bones. The fox power had receded, leaving him feeling hollow and light at the same time. His hands had stopped glowing. His eyes, when he caught his reflection in a puddle, were blue again. Normal. He almost laughed at that. Normal. As if anything about him had ever been normal. Sonic dropped beside him. Hey. Hey. You did good out there. Naruto looked at him. I almost lost control. The fox, it was right there. If I'd pushed harder, I don't know what would have happened. But you didn't. Doesn't matter. I could have. Sonic was quiet for a moment. Then, yeah, you could have. But you didn't. That's what matters. Naruto stared at the ruined battlefield. At the smoke rising from Eggman's fallen fortress. At the bodies of badniks scattered everywhere like broken toys. What happens now? He asked. Now? We figure out how to get home. Track down the emeralds, they're scattered, but they're here somewhere. And we figure out what happened to you. Me? Sonic looked at him directly. You've got chaos energy inside you now. Real chaos energy, not just chakra. That changes things. We need to understand how, and what it means. Naruto thought about that. About the fox's voice, quieter now but still present. About the power he'd felt, so vast it could have destroyed everything. About the choice he'd made, to stop, to hold back, to not become what everyone feared. I'm scared, he admitted quietly. Sonic nodded. Good. Good? Being scared means you're paying attention. Means you know the stakes. The ones who aren't scared, they're the ones who cause problems. He grinned, but it was softer than usual. You're going to be okay, kid. We'll figure this out together. Together. The words still felt strange. Still new. Still something he wasn't quite sure he deserved. But for the first time, hearing it didn't hurt. Iruka found them as the morning wore on. He came running through the trees, out of breath and wild-eyed, stopping dead when he saw the destruction. Saw Eggman bound and beaten. Saw Sonic and Shadow sitting with Naruto like it was the most natural thing in the world. What? He couldn't finish. We won, Naruto said simply. Iruka stared at him. At the exhaustion in his face, the new shadows under his eyes, the way he held himself differently, straighter somehow. Older. Are you hurt? Nah. Tired. Hungry. A pause. There's a lot I need to tell you. Iruka walked over slowly, like he was approaching something fragile. He knelt in front of Naruto, searching his face for something. Naruto didn't know what. The fox, Iruka said quietly. I felt its chakra. From all the way in the village. Everyone felt it. Naruto's stomach dropped. It wasn't angry. Iruka's voice was strange. The Ninetales chakra, it's always felt like hatred. Like destruction. But last night, it felt different. Protective. Almost sad. Naruto didn't know what to say. Iruka searched his face a moment longer. Then he pulled Naruto into a hug. It was quick, barely a second, but it was real. Solid. The kind of hug Naruto had seen other kids get from their parents, their teachers, their friends. The kind he'd never had. When Iruka pulled back, his eyes were wet. "You did good, kid." Naruto couldn't speak. He just nodded, and let himself feel whatever this feeling was, warm and scary and wonderful all at once. They walked back to the village slowly. Eggman was carried between Sonic and Shadow, not gently, but not cruelly either. He'd stopped talking, just watched the forest pass with those sharp eyes, storing everything away. Iruka walked beside Naruto, close enough to catch him if he stumbled. Sonic kept glancing back, checking on them, making sure they were okay. Shadow brought up the rear, always watching, always guarding. The village gates came into view. People were gathered there. Naruto could see them from a distance. A crowd. Waiting. His heart clenched. They know, he thought. They know about the fox. They know what I did. They're going to. Relax. Iruka's voice was calm. They're not here to hurt you. How do you know? Because I know this village. And I know what they saw last night. A pause. The Ninetales chakra, it saved people. Pushed falling debris away from houses. Guided families to shelter. Did things that chakra has never done before. Naruto stared at him. That was you, Iruka said quietly. You and the fox together. And everyone felt it. They reached the gates. The crowd parted silently. Not hostile, just watching. Staring at Naruto like they were seeing him for the first time. An old woman stepped forward. Naruto recognized her. She ran the vegetable stand near the market. The one he'd helped that first day, gathering cabbages from the dirt. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she bowed. Not deep. Not dramatic. Just a slight inclination of her head, a small gesture that somehow meant everything. Thank you, she said quietly. Others murmured. Nods. More bows, small ones, awkward ones, the kind people give when they don't know what else to do. Naruto stood frozen. They're thanking me. They're actually thanking me. For what? For being born? For having the fox? For saving us, the old woman said, as if reading his thoughts. For protecting our homes. For being more than we ever gave you credit for. Naruto's eyes burned. He didn't cry. He was too tired, too overwhelmed, too something to cry. But his eyes burned, and his chest ached, and for the first time in his life, walking through the village didn't feel like running a gauntlet. It felt like coming home. The Hokage's office was crowded. Third Hokage behind his desk, pipe smoking as always. Iruka standing at attention. Sonic leaning against the wall, trying to look casual and failing. Shadow in the corner, arms crossed, eyes never stopping their sweep. And Naruto in the center, sitting in a chair that felt too big for him. Eggman had been taken to a holding cell. Secure, the Hokage promised. Watched day and night. Now came the hard part. Tell me everything, the Hokage said. From the beginning. So Naruto did. He told them about touching the emerald. About the fox speaking to him, really speaking, not just growling. About the power that had flooded through him, chakra and chaos mixing into something new. About the battle, and the choice, and the way the fox had helped instead of hurt. When he finished, the office was silent. The Hokage stared at him for a long moment. Then he leaned back, removed his pipe, and sighed. The Ninetales has never spoken to a Jinchuriki before. Not once, in all its history. He shook his head slowly. You've done something unprecedented, Naruto. Again. I didn't mean to. You never do. That's what makes it remarkable. The Hokage's eyes were thoughtful. The chaos energy has changed you. Changed the seal, changed the fox, changed the relationship between you. We don't know what that means long term. Could be bad, Sonic offered. Could be good. Chaos is unpredictable. Indeed. The Hokage tapped his pipe. Which is why I'm proposing something unusual. He looked at Sonic and Shadow. You need to find the scattered emeralds. You need to return to your world. And you need to understand what's happened to Naruto. He paused. Take him with you. The room went still. What? Naruto's voice was barely a whisper. I'm not casting you out, the Hokage said quickly. I'm giving you a choice. These two. He gestured at Sonic and Shadow. Understand chaos energy better than anyone in our world. If anyone can help you master what's inside you, it's them. And if you're going to have any hope of controlling this new power, you need that understanding. But the village, my training, will be here when you return. I promise you that. The Hokage's voice was gentle. This isn't exile, Naruto. This is opportunity. A chance to become something more than anyone ever expected. Naruto looked at Sonic, at Shadow, at the two strangers who'd become something like friends in just a few days. You'd want me to come? He asked. Sonic shrugged. Your call, kid. But yeah, we could use the help. And honestly, I think you've earned the right to see what you're capable of. Shadow said nothing, but his eyes said yes. Naruto looked at Iruka. The scarred Chunin's face was complicated, pride and fear and hope all tangled together. He nodded once. It's your choice, Iruka said. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. Naruto closed his eyes. The fox stirred inside him. Not angry. Just present. Waiting. What do you think? Naruto asked silently. A long pause. Then, I think you've been trapped your whole life. In this village. In these walls. In the cage I called a prison but was really yours all along. That's not an answer. It is. You just don't like it. Naruto opened his eyes. Okay, he said. I'll go. The next few days were a blur. Preparations. Goodbyes. I made enough ramen to feed an army. Iruka gave Naruto a scroll, sealing techniques, he said, things that might help with the chaos energy. The Hokage provided supplies, money, a map of the known world, though no one knew if it would be useful in Sonic's world. And finally, the night before they left, Naruto sat alone on the Hokage monument, looking out over the village that had hated him for so long. It looked different now. Smaller. Less like a prison and more like a home. You'll miss it, the fox said. Yeah. Even after everything? Even after everything. The fox was quiet for a long time. Then I understand. Naruto didn't know if that was true. Didn't know if a creature as old and powerful as the Ninetales could understand something as simple as a boy missing a place that never wanted him. But it felt nice to hear anyway. Footsteps behind him. Shadow. He sat down without asking, without speaking, just there. Solid and silent, and somehow comforting in his stillness. They watched the village together for a while. You're scared, Shadow said finally. Not a question. Yeah. Good. Naruto almost laughed. That's what Sonic said. Sonic is smarter than he looks. A pause. Fear keeps you alive. Keeps you careful. The ones who aren't scared, they die young. You speak from experience? Shadow was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer than Naruto had ever heard it. I've died before. Came back. It's not something I recommend. Naruto stared at him. I was created to be immortal, Shadow continued. The ultimate life form. But immortality doesn't mean you can't be hurt. Doesn't mean you can't lose everything. His eyes were distant. Maria, my friend, she died because of me. Because of what I am. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was a long time ago. Shadow looked at him directly. I'm telling you this so you understand, carrying power isn't a gift. It's a responsibility. Every choice you make, every battle you fight, it affects more than just you. Remember that. Naruto nodded slowly. I will. They sat in silence until the stars came out. Morning came too fast. The group gathered at the village gate, Sonic, Shadow, Naruto, and a small contingent of ninjas sent to escort them to the Dimensional Rift's last known location. Iruka was there. I am too. Even the old vegetable woman, standing at the edge of the crowd, watching with something like hope in her eyes. Naruto hugged Iruka. It was awkward, they'd never done this before, either of them knew quite how, but it was real. Solid. The kind of hug Naruto had always wanted. Come back, Iruka said quietly. I will. You better. Who's going to fail my tests if you're not around? Naruto laughed. It came out wet. Iruka-sensei. I know. Iruka pulled back, eyes bright. Go. Learn. Become someone amazing. Naruto nodded. He turned to the gate. To Sonic and Shadow waiting beyond. To a future he couldn't imagine. Here we go, he thought. Yes, the fox agreed. Here we go. And Naruto Uzumaki, 12 years old, dead last, demon container, chaos vessel, and now, apparently, traveler between worlds, stepped through the gate and didn't look back. The dimensional rift was exactly where Shadow's tracking had placed it, a clearing deep in the forest, marked by twisted trees and scorched earth. The energy signature was faint but stable, a scar in reality that hadn't quite healed. Sonic studied it with narrowed eyes. It'll take us back? Should. Shadow was already checking the emeralds they'd recovered, 3 so far, scattered by the explosion. 3 more somewhere in this world, waiting to be found. The rift leads home. The question is whether we can control where we emerge. Better than staying here and letting Eggman's remaining forces cause trouble. Agreed. They both looked at Naruto. He stood at the edge of the clearing, staring at the rift. It was beautiful in a terrifying way, shimmering colors, shifting patterns, a hole in the world that led somewhere else entirely. Ready? Sonic asked. No, Naruto admitted. But let's do it anyway. Sonic grinned. That's the spirit. He stepped forward into the rift and vanished. Shadow went next, a glance back at Naruto, a tiny nod, and then he too was gone. Naruto took a breath. Felt the fox stir inside him. Felt the chaos energy pulse in his veins. Together, the fox said. Together. He stepped forward. The world dissolved into light. The first thing Naruto noticed was the color. Everything was blue. Blue sky, blue water, blue plants with leaves that swayed like they were underwater even though they weren't. The ground under his feet was grass, green grass, normal grass, but it grew in spiraling patterns that hurt to look at if he stared too long. The second thing he noticed was that he was alone. Sonic and Shadow were nowhere in sight. The rift had spat him out here, wherever here was, and they were just gone. Hello? His voice sounded small in the vastness. No answer. The fox stirred. The energy is different here. Thicker. It tastes like chaos. Is that bad? Not bad. Just different. Like moving from fresh water to salt. Naruto took a step. Then another. The blue grass crunched under his sandals, not like grass at all, more like tiny crystals breaking. He had no idea where he was going. No idea what to look for. No idea if Sonic and Shadow were even in the same world anymore. Keep moving, the fox advised. Stopping solves nothing. Since when are you the optimistic one? I'm not optimistic. I'm practical. There's a difference. Naruto almost smiled. He walked. Hours passed. Or maybe minutes. Time felt strange here, stretching and compressing like taffy. The sun, if it was a sun, hung in the same spot, never moving, casting long shadows that pointed in directions that didn't make sense. Naruto's legs ached. His stomach growled. His mind kept circling back to the same questions. Where am I? Where are they? How do I find them? What if I'm stuck here forever? You're spiraling, the fox said. I know. Stop it. I'm trying. Try harder. Naruto stopped walking. Closed his eyes. Took a breath the way Iruka had taught him, slow and deep, letting the air fill him completely. When he opened his eyes, he noticed something he'd missed before. Tracks. Not animal tracks, something mechanical. Thin lines pressed into the blue grass, leading toward a cluster of spiraling plants in the distance. They looked almost like tread marks. Someone's been here, he thought. Something with wheels. He followed them. The village, if you could call it that, was small. Maybe a dozen buildings, all made from the same blue-green crystal as the grass, arranged in a circle around a central structure that looked like a giant flower frozen mid-bloom. Naruto crouched behind a rock formation, watching. Movement. Small creatures, animals? People, scurried between buildings. They looked like birds? No. More like tiny dinosaurs, walking on 2 legs, with feathers and bright eyes and hands that carried things. Never seen anything like them, the fox murmured. Me either. One of the creatures stopped. Turned. Looked directly at Naruto's hiding spot. Its eyes widened. It screamed. Suddenly all of them were screaming, running, pointing. Not at Naruto, past him. Behind him. He spun. The thing bearing down on him was massive. metal and smoke and grinding gears, with legs like a spider and claws like scythes and a single red eye that glowed with malicious light. It moved faster than anything that size should, tearing through the blue grass, crushing everything in its path. A Badnik. Eggman's Badnik. But different, angrier somehow. More aggressive. Like it had been waiting for something to kill. Naruto's hands came together on instinct. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu! Smoke exploded. A dozen Narutos appeared, scattering in every direction. The Badnik hesitated, just for a second, trying to track too many targets at once. It was enough. Naruto ran. The village creatures had vanished, fled into the buildings or underground, he couldn't tell. The Badnik was still behind him, still chasing, still gaining despite his best speed. You can't outrun it, the fox said. I have to try. No. You have to fight. I can't, I don't know how. You fought before. With me. Do it again. Naruto's feet kept moving, but his mind was elsewhere. The fox was right, he'd fought before. He'd taken down Badniks by the dozen with that strange merged power. But that power had come from the Chaos Emerald, from the energy that had flooded him in that underground chamber. Did he still have it? Only one way to find out. He stopped running, turned, faced the Badnik head on. It loomed above him, claws raised, red eye gleaming, ready to strike. Naruto closed his eyes. Reached inside. Help me, he thought. The fox answered. Power flooded through him, not as strong as before, not as complete, but there. His skin glowed faint red. His eyes opened, and they weren't quite human anymore. The Badnik swung. Naruto moved. He was faster now, not Sonic fast, but fast enough. He ducked under the claw, spun, planted a kick against the Badnik's leg joint. Metal crumpled. The thing stumbled, off balance, and Naruto pressed the advantage. Another kick. Another. A punch that dented armor. A final blow that shattered the red eye completely. The Badnik collapsed. Silence. Naruto stood over it, breathing hard, watching the light fade from its broken eye. The power was already receding, leaving him tired and shaky but alive. Good, the fox said. Not perfect, but good. I did it. We did it. Naruto nodded. Then he turned to face the village. The creatures had come out of hiding. Dozens of them, standing at the edges of their crystal buildings, staring at him with expressions he couldn't read. One stepped forward. Taller than the others, wearing some kind of feathered cloak, carrying a staff topped with a glowing crystal. It spoke. The words were gibberish, musical chirps and trills that meant nothing to Naruto's ears. But somehow, impossibly, he understood. Stranger. You defeated the Metal One. You saved us. How can I understand you? The creature tilted its head. The energy. It flows between us now. You carry much. More than is natural. Naruto looked down at himself. The glow had faded completely, but he could still feel it, that strange connection, that awareness of something beyond normal senses. The Badnik, he said. Where did it come from? The Metal Ones come from the mountains. From the place where the sky bleeds. They have come for many sun cycles, taking our people, destroying our homes. The creature's voice, if it was a voice, sounded tired. We thought they would never stop. I'm looking for friends. 2 of them. One blue, one black and red. Have you seen them? The creature was quiet for a moment. Then, the blue one came yesterday. He passed through quickly, chasing the Metal Ones. He went toward the mountains. Naruto's heart leaped. Sonic. That's Sonic. He's alive. The black and red one we have not seen. But the mountains are large. Many places to hide. Many places to be taken. Taken? The creature's eyes were sad. The Metal Ones take our people. They take them to the place where the sky bleeds. We do not know why. We do not know if they still live. Naruto thought about that. About Sonic chasing Badniks into the mountains. About Shadow, maybe captured, maybe hurt, maybe. Stop, the fox said. Worrying changes nothing. Move forward. Yeah. Naruto looked at the creature. I need to go to the mountains. Can you show me the way? The creature studied him for a long moment. Then it nodded slowly. We will take you to the edge of our lands. Beyond that, you walk alone. Thank you. The creature's eyes flickered with something that might have been hope. Thank you, stranger. For fighting when you didn't have to. Naruto didn't know what to say to that. So he just nodded, and followed them into the village. The mountains were visible from the village's edge, jagged peaks that pierced the sky, their slopes dark with something that wasn't rock. As they got closer, Naruto realized what it was. Metal. The mountains were covered in metal. Pipes and platforms and structures bolted directly into the stone, forming a massive industrial complex that stretched as far as he could see. The place where the sky bleeds, he breathed. Yes, his guide confirmed. We go no further. The metal ones will see us. Naruto nodded. I understand. Thank you for bringing me. The creature touched his hand briefly, a feather-light contact that sent a strange warmth through his skin. May the energy guide you, stranger. Then it was gone, slipping back into the blue grass, leaving Naruto alone at the edge of darkness. He looked up at the mountain, at the factories and forges and unknown horrors waiting inside. Sonic's in there somewhere. Probably. Shadow too, maybe? Possibly. I have to go in. Yes. Naruto took a breath. Let it out. Started walking. The complex was a maze. Naruto crept through tunnels and corridors, dodging patrols, hiding in shadows, moving whenever the badniks' backs were turned. He'd never been good at stealth, too loud, too clumsy, too present, but the fox helped, sharpening his senses, warning him of danger before it arrived. Left. Stop. Wait. He pressed against the wall as 3 badniks marched past, their footsteps synchronized, their red eyes scanning. Clear. He moved again. The complex went on forever. Room after room, corridor after corridor, all identical, all oppressive. Naruto started to lose track of time, of direction, of anything except the need to keep moving. Then he heard it. Fighting. The sounds were distant but unmistakable, metal crashing, explosions, and that familiar whoosh of Sonic's speed. Naruto's heart leaped. He ran toward the noise. The chamber was massive, some kind of factory floor, filled with conveyor belts and assembly lines and badniks in various stages of construction. And in the center, surrounded by enemies, was Sonic. He was moving, always moving, a blue blur that badniks couldn't touch. But there were so many of them, pouring in from every entrance, and even Sonic couldn't keep this up forever. Naruto didn't hesitate. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu! Dozens of clones erupted into the chamber, drawing fire, creating chaos. Sonic's head snapped around, eyes widening when he saw Naruto. Kid? Over here! Sonic was at his side in an instant, breathing hard, grinning despite everything. You're alive! How did you? Never mind, doesn't matter. We need to move. This whole place is about to. The ground shook. Not an explosion, something else. Something massive rising from below. The floor cracked. Metal screamed. And through the gap emerged a machine so huge it blocked out the ceiling. It was shaped like Eggman, a giant robotic version of the Doctor himself, complete with mustache and goggles and a cockpit in its chest. Its eyes glowed red. Its hands crackled with energy. And in one of those hands, clenched tight, was Shadow. No! Naruto started forward, but Sonic grabbed him. Wait! Chaos Blast! Shadow's voice, muffled but unmistakable. Green energy erupted from the robot's hand, and the hand shattered. Shadow fell, caught himself midair, landed in a crouch with both palms pressed to the ground. Chaos Control! Time stopped. Literally stopped. Naruto couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Everything was frozen, the badniks, the robot, even Sonic mid-stride. Only Shadow moved. He walked toward Naruto slowly, each step deliberate, his face streaked with blood and exhaustion. When he reached them, he touched Naruto's forehead gently. Don't die, he whispered. Then time resumed, and Shadow collapsed. The battle after that was a blur. Sonic fighting the robot, dodging its massive fists, striking at its joints. Naruto dragging Shadow to safety, using clones to clear a path, ignoring the way his arms burned and his vision swam. The fox lending strength when his own ran out, pushing him forward, keeping him moving. And then silence. The robot fell. Sonic landed beside them, chest heaving, looking more tired than Naruto had ever seen him. It's down, he gasped. For now. But more will come. We need to. He stopped. Shadow wasn't moving. His eyes were closed. His chest barely rose. The chaos energy around him flickered weakly, like a candle about to go out. No! Sonic dropped to his knees. No, 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 Shadow! Naruto knelt beside him. Reached out. Touched Shadow's chest. The fox stirred. Chaos energy. Draining away. He used too much, tried to stop time with nothing left. Can you help him? A long pause. Maybe. If you're willing to share. Share what? The energy inside you. The chaos chakra mix. Give some to him. It might stabilize him. It might also kill you both. Naruto looked at Shadow's pale face. At the blood. At the weakness in someone who never shown weakness before. Do it. Naruto. I said do it. The fox sighed. Close your eyes. Focus on the energy. Push it toward him. Don't stop until I tell you. Naruto closed his eyes. Felt the power inside him, chaos and chakra intertwined, the fox's presence wrapped around it like a protective shell. He focused on it, gathered it, pushed. The energy flowed out of him, into Shadow, through the point where their skin touched. It burned. It froze. It hurt in ways Naruto couldn't describe. But he didn't stop. Didn't stop when his vision went dark. Didn't stop when his heart stuttered. Didn't stop when the world went silent. He just kept pushing, kept giving, kept hoping, until there was nothing left to give. He woke to pain. Everything hurt. His head, his chest, his limbs, all of them screaming at once. He tried to move and couldn't. Easy. Sonic's voice. Close. Easy, kid. You're okay. Naruto forced his eyes open. He was lying on something soft, bedding, maybe, or piled fabric. The ceiling above was metal, but someone had tried to make it less ugly with hanging plants and colorful cloth. Where? Safe house. One of the resistance cells. They'd been fighting Eggman for years. Sonic's face appeared above him, tired but relieved. You've been out for 2 days. 2 days. Naruto tried to process that. Shadow. Alive. Thanks to you? Sonic's voice was strange. You saved his life, kid. Poured your own energy into him until there was nothing left. The resistance healer said if you'd stopped even a minute sooner, he would have died. Naruto let that sink in. Is he okay? He's recovering. Slowly. Chaos energy takes time to regenerate, and he'd pushed past his limits. But he'll live. A pause. You will too, apparently. Though you scared the hell out of us. Sorry. Don't be. Just, don't do that again unless you have to. Naruto almost laughed. Can't promise that. Sonic's expression softened. Yeah. I know. The days that followed were strange. Naruto healed slowly, his body rebuilding the energy he'd given away. The resistance fighters, a collection of creatures from across this world, all united against Eggman's occupation, brought food and water and stories of their battles. Sonic came and went, always moving, always scouting, always planning. Shadow woke on the 3rd day. He didn't say much at first, just lay there, staring at the ceiling, processing being alive. But on the 4th day, when Naruto was strong enough to sit up, Shadow spoke. Why? Naruto looked at him. Why what? Why save me? You barely know me. We're not from your world. We're not your responsibility. Naruto thought about it. Because you saved me first, he said finally. Back in my world, when Eggman attacked, you stayed. You fought. You told me I was worth saving. He shrugged. Seemed fair to return the favor. Shadow was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. Fair, he agreed. And that was enough. On the 7th day, the resistance called a meeting. They gathered in the largest chamber of the safe house, dozens of creatures from a dozen different species, all listening as their leader spoke. She was a wolf, gray-furred and sharp-eyed, with a mechanical arm that sparked when she moved. The doctor has finished his latest project, she said grimly. A weapon powered by chaos energy. If he activates it, it will destroy everything, our world, maybe others. We need to stop him before that happens. How? Someone called out. By hitting him where it hurts, His main base, in the heart of the mountains. He's pulled all his forces there to protect it. Her eyes swept the room. This is a suicide mission. Anyone who comes may not come back. Silence. Then Sonic stood. I'm in. Shadow stood beside him. Naruto struggled to his feet, slowly, painfully, but upright. Me too. The wolf looked at them. At the strangers who'd appeared from nowhere, who'd already given so much, who kept choosing to fight. Why? She asked. This isn't your world. These aren't your people. Sonic shrugged. Doesn't matter. Bad guys are bad guys. And Eggman's been my problem long before he was yours. Shadow said nothing, but his eyes said everything. Naruto met the wolf's gaze. Because I can, he said simply. Because I have this power now, and if I don't use it to help people, what's the point of having it? The wolf studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. All right. We move at dawn. That night, Naruto sat alone at the edge of the safe house, looking out at the mountains. They loomed against the stars, dark and terrible, holding Eggman's final weapon. The fox stirred. You're scared. Yeah. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Does it ever go away? The fear? A long pause. No. But you learn to use it. To let it fuel you instead of freeze you. Naruto thought about that. About all the times he'd been afraid, of the villagers, of the fox, of being alone forever. About how fear had shaped him, narrowed him, made him smaller than he could have been. You're not small anymore, the fox said quietly. You haven't been for a while. You just didn't notice. Thanks. Don't thank me. Just, don't die tomorrow. I've gotten used to having you around. Naruto almost smiled. Same. Dawn came cold and gray. The resistance fighters gathered at the base of the mountains, dozens of them, armed and ready, their faces set with determination. The wolf gave a final briefing. Sonic bounced on his heels, impatient to move. Shadow stood motionless, eyes fixed on the peak. And Naruto. Naruto stood in the middle of it all, feeling the weight of what was coming. The chaos energy inside him pulsed slowly, steadily, like a second heartbeat. The fox was alert, watching through his eyes, ready for whatever came. Together, the fox whispered. Together. The wolf raised her arm. For freedom! The charge began. The mountain swallowed them whole. Naruto ran with the others, feet pounding metal corridors, lungs burning with each breath. The resistance fighters spread out around him, wolf, bird, lizard, creatures he had no names for, all moving toward the same objective, the heart of Eggman's fortress, where the weapon waited. Sonic was somewhere ahead, a blue blur too fast to track. Shadow brought up the rear, conserving strength, watching for threats from behind. Naruto was in the middle, surrounded by strangers, feeling the weight of every step. They're going to die, the fox said quietly. Don't say that. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being realistic. Look at them. They're brave, but bravery doesn't stop bullets. Naruto looked. Really looked. At the way some of them limped from old injuries. At the makeshift weapons they carried, tools repurposed as arms, hope disguised as steel. At the fear in their eyes that they tried so hard to hide. The fox was right. They were walking into a slaughter. Then we make sure they don't, Naruto said. We protect them. We can't protect everyone. We can try. The fox was silent. The first ambush came without warning. 1 second the corridor was empty. The next, walls shifted, panels sliding back to reveal badniks packed into every alcove, weapons already firing. The resistance fighters screamed, scattered, fell. Naruto's clones exploded outward on instinct, drawing fire, creating chaos. Sonic appeared from nowhere, tearing through the nearest badniks, shouting orders that no one could hear over the noise. Shadow's chaos spears lanced through the ranks, green energy finding targets with precision. But there were too many. Too many guns. Too many enemies. Too much death. A creature beside Naruto, bird-like, feathers bright blue, took a shot to the chest and crumpled. Its eyes were still open. Still looking at him. Help me, those eyes seemed to say. Then they went dark. Naruto couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't do anything but stare at the body of someone he'd never known, who died right next to him, who trusted him to. Kid! Sonic's voice, sharp with urgency. Move! Hands grabbed him, dragged him, pulled him through a side passage as the corridor behind them collapsed under heavy fire. Naruto stumbled, fell, was pulled up again. Kept moving without knowing how. When they finally stopped, in a small maintenance alcove hidden behind pipes and shadows, Naruto collapsed. He sat with his back against the wall, staring at nothing, seeing only those blue feathers and those empty eyes. Naruto. Sonic's voice. Quiet now. Hey! Look at me! He couldn't. Look at me! Slowly, painfully, he raised his eyes. Sonic's face was smudged with smoke and something darker. His usual grin was gone. In its place was an expression Naruto had never seen, something old and tired and sad. That was your first, Sonic said quietly. Seeing someone die right next to you. It never gets easier. Naruto's throat was too tight to speak. It's okay to feel broken right now. It's okay to want to stop. But we can't. You understand? We can't stop. Because if we do, more of them die. Sonic paused. The only way to honor the ones we lose is to keep going. To make their deaths mean something. How? Naruto's voice cracked. How do you make something like that mean something? Sonic was quiet for a moment. You remember them. You carry them with you. And you make sure that what they died for actually happens. He held out a hand. Come on. We've got a weapon to destroy. Naruto looked at the hand. At Sonic's tired eyes. At the weight he carried so quietly. Then he took the hand and stood up. They found the rest of the resistance an hour later. The group was smaller now, half the original number, maybe less. The wolf leader had a fresh wound across her face, barely missing her eye. Others had similar injuries, similar losses. But they kept moving, kept fighting, kept hoping. Naruto moved among them, seeing them differently now. Not as strangers, not as allies of convenience, but as people. People with names and families and dreams that had nothing to do with this war. A lizard-like creature with scales the color of sunset offered him water. He took it, drank, handed it back. Thank you? The creature nodded. You fought well, small one. For a stranger. I'm Naruto. I know. The blue one speaks of you often. A pause. I am Kix. Nice to meet you, Kix. Kix's eyes crinkled in what might have been a smile. You are strange. But I think that is not bad. Naruto almost laughed. No. I don't think it is either. The weapon was visible now. They'd reached a massive chamber, bigger than anything Naruto had seen in this world, bigger than the Hokage's office, bigger than the academy, bigger than anything. At its center, suspended by cables and energy fields, was a machine that looked like a sun. It glowed with chaos energy, not the green of Shadow's attacks, but something else. Something wrong. Purple and red and black swirling together, pulsing like a diseased heart. If that activates, Shadow said quietly, it won't just destroy this world. The dimensional shockwave will spread. Your world too. Maybe others. How do we stop it? Naruto asked. Get inside. Disrupt the energy flow from within. It's the only way. That's suicide. Yes. Naruto looked at the machine. At the badniks swarming around it. At the endless corridors of Eggman's fortress stretching in every direction. Then he looked at the resistance fighters. At Kix, who'd shared his water. At the wolf, who led them here despite everything. At all the ones who died to get them this far. I'll do it, he said. Sonic spun. What? No. Absolutely not. I'm the only one who can. Naruto's voice was steady. The chaos energy inside me, it's already merged with my chakra. If anyone can get close to that thing without being destroyed, it's me. You don't know that. No. But I know if I don't try, everyone dies. Sonic's jaw tightened. He looked at Shadow, some silent communication passing between them. He's right, Shadow said quietly. Shadow. He's right, Sonic. You know he is. Shadow's eyes were on Naruto. The boy carries chaos naturally now. The machine will recognize that. It might not attack him the way it would us. Might not. That's not a guarantee. Nothing is. Sonic looked like he wanted to argue more. But the weight of the situation pressed down on all of them, and finally, slowly, he nodded. Fine. But we're going with you as far as we can. Naruto nodded. Together, he said. Getting to the machine was its own battle. Badniks poured from every entrance, every alcove, every hidden panel. The resistance fought like demons, giving ground only when they had to, taking losses but never breaking. Sonic was everywhere at once, a constant blur of destruction. Shadow conserved his energy, using chaos spears only when necessary, always watching, always planning. Naruto ran through it all, the fox's presence sharp in his mind, guiding his steps, warning of danger. Almost there. I know. The energy from the machine, it's wrong. Twisted. Like Eggman tried to force chaos to do something it wasn't meant for. Can I survive it? A pause. I don't know. Great. But if anyone can, it's you. You've survived everything else. Naruto almost smiled at that. They reached the base of the machine, a platform suspended above endless darkness, connected to the main structure by a single bridge. The resistance held the bridge entrance, fighting off waves of badniks while Sonic and Shadow prepared for the final push. Once you're inside, Shadow said, you'll have maybe 10 minutes before the energy overwhelms you. Find the core. Disrupt it. Get out. 10 minutes. Got it. Naruto. Sonic's voice was strange. Come back. It wasn't a command. It wasn't even really a request. It was just hope. Plain and simple and raw. Naruto looked at him. At the hedgehog who'd grabbed him without hesitation, who'd trusted him, who'd become something like a friend. I will. He ran. The bridge was longer than it looked. Each step felt like wading through water, the machine's energy pressing against him, testing him, trying to push him back. His skin glowed now, red and green mixing, the fox's power rising to meet the challenge. Keep moving. I am. Faster. I'm trying. The entrance loomed ahead, a hatch in the machine's surface, surrounded by pulsing light. Naruto reached it, grabbed the handle, pulled. It opened. Inside was chaos. Literally chaos, energy swirling everywhere, colors that didn't exist in normal light, sounds that vibrated in his bones instead of his ears. Naruto stumbled forward, one hand over his face, trying to see through the madness. The core. Find the core. How? I can't see anything. Feel it. The energy flows from somewhere. Follow the current. Naruto closed his eyes. Reached out with senses he didn't know he had. Felt the chaos flowing around him, through him, from him. There. A point of intensity. A place where all the currents converged. He moved toward it. The core was beautiful. That was Naruto's first thought, even through the pain and fear and urgency. A sphere of pure light, floating in the center of a chamber lined with crystals, pulsing with the rhythm of a heartbeat. Colors shifted across its surface, gold and blue and green and red, in patterns that almost looked like writing. The Chaos Emeralds, the fox breathed. He's using them. All 6. Naruto looked closer. There, embedded in the sphere's surface, 6 gems glowing with their own light. The emeralds. The ones Eggman had gathered, the ones they'd been trying to find. How do I stop it? Break the connection. Remove the emeralds. But the moment you touch them, the energy will surge. It might kill you. Nothing new there. Naruto reached out. His hand touched the sphere. The scream that tore through the fortress wasn't human. It was the sound of reality itself protesting, of energy pushed past its limits, of something breaking that should never have been broken. Sonic heard it from the bridge and stumbled, hands over his ears. Shadow went rigid, eyes wide, chaos energy flaring around him uncontrollably. Inside the machine, Naruto was drowning. The energy flooded into him, all of it, at once, the power of 6 emeralds pouring through his tiny body like water through a sieve. He should have died instantly. Should have been vaporized, erased, turned to nothing. But the fox was there. The fox caught the energy, channeled it, held it. Not containing it, that was impossible, but slowing it, stretching it, giving Naruto time. Fight, the fox roared. Fight it! Naruto fought. He didn't know how. Didn't know what he was doing. Just knew that if he let go, if he stopped, everything ended. So he held on. Held on while his cells screamed. Held on while his mind fractured. Held on while the chaos tried to remake him into something else. And slowly, impossibly, he started to win. The energy stopped flooding. Started flowing through him instead of into him. Circulated like chakra, like blood, like breath. found pathways that shouldn't exist and made them exist anyway. Naruto opened his eyes. The sphere was dark. The emeralds were dark. And in his hands, glowing with soft light, were 6 stones that held the power to reshape reality. He'd done it. He'd actually done it. Then the machine exploded. Sonic caught him. That was the last thing Naruto remembered before everything went black. Sonic's arms around him, pulling him from the wreckage, carrying him to safety while the fortress collapsed around them. After that, only darkness. He woke to pain. Different pain this time, not the burning of chaos energy, but the deep ache of a body pushed too far. His limbs felt like lead. His head throbbed with every heartbeat. His eyes wouldn't focus. But he was alive. Barely, the fox said. Its voice was weak. Tired. You barely made it. Thanks to you? Yes. Well, don't make a habit of this. Naruto tried to laugh. It came out as a cough. Movement nearby. Sonic's face appeared above him, streaked with soot and exhaustion and relief. Hey kid! Welcome back. Did it work? Sonic's grin was tired but real. Yeah. It worked. The weapon's gone. Eggman's fortress is rubble. The resistance is throwing a party. A pause. You're a hero. Naruto stared at him. A hero? 6 emeralds worth of chaos energy, straight into your body, and you survived. You didn't just disrupt the weapon, you absorbed its power. The emeralds are empty now. Drained. Whatever Eggman was trying to do, you undid it completely. Naruto didn't know what to say. Shadow appeared behind Sonic, arms crossed, expression unreadable. But his eyes, those red eyes that usually held so much distance, were warm. You did well, Shadow said quietly. Naruto felt something crack inside his chest. Not breaking, opening. Making room for something new. Thanks, he whispered. The days that followed were strange. The resistance celebrated their victory with music and food and stories told around fires. Kix found Naruto and sat with him for hours, not talking much, just being there. The wolf leader clasped his shoulder and called him, little brother, in a voice thick with emotion. Sonic was everywhere at once, as always, but he kept circling back to Naruto. Checking on him. Making sure he was okay. Shadow stayed close too, always within sight, always watching. On the 3rd day, Naruto finally asked the question that had been building since he woke. The emeralds. They're empty. How do you get home? Sonic and Shadow exchanged a look. We don't know, Sonic admitted. Without chaos energy, they're just rocks. Pretty rocks, but rocks. We might be stuck here. Naruto's heart sank. That's my fault. No. Shadow's voice was firm. You did what you had to. The alternative was everyone dying. We'll find another way. But there's always another way. Shadow's eyes held his. You taught me that. Naruto looked away, throat tight. That night, he dreamed of the fox. They stood together in an endless field of blue grass, under a sky full of stars. The fox was huge, towering above him, for the color of sunset, 9 tails swaying gently in a wind that didn't exist. You've changed, the fox said. I know. The chaos energy is part of you now. Permanently. You'll never be free of it. I don't want to be free of it. The fox tilted its head. It's part of me. Like you're part of me. Fighting it would just hurt everyone. Naruto looked up at the massive creature. I'm done fighting parts of myself. The fox was quiet for a long moment. Then it lowered its head, massive, terrifying, beautiful, and touched its nose to Naruto's chest. Then we fight together. Naruto woke with tears on his face and didn't know why. The resistance threw one last celebration before they left. Naruto ate more than he'd ever eaten in his life. Danced badly, laughed loudly, let himself feel happy for the first time in longer than he could remember. Kix taught him a song in a language he didn't understand. The wolf leader told stories of battles won and friends lost. Even Sonic sat still for once, watching the fire, looking almost peaceful. Shadow found him later, away from the others, staring at the stars. The emeralds are recharging, Shadow said quietly. Naruto spun. What? Slowly. But yes. The chaos energy you absorbed is bleeding back into them. Through you. You're acting as a conduit, restoring what was lost. Naruto didn't know what to say. In a few weeks, maybe less, they'll be full again. We'll be able to go home. Shadow paused. You'll be able to come with us, if you still want to. Naruto thought about Konoha. About Iruka. About the villagers who'd finally started looking at him differently. I don't know, he admitted. Shadow nodded slowly. You have time to decide. They stood together in silence, watching the stars. On their last night in the resistance camp, Naruto found Sonic sitting alone on a ridge, looking out at the ruins of Eggman's fortress in the distance. Can't sleep? Naruto asked, sitting beside him. Never could. Too much energy. Sonic's grin was faint. You. Same. But for different reasons. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. I'm glad you're here, Sonic said finally. I know this wasn't what you signed up for. Getting dragged to another world, fighting a war that isn't yours, almost dying more times than I can count. He paused. But I'm glad you're here. Naruto looked at him. I am too. Sonic's grin widened, real this time, bright in the darkness. Good. Because I get the feeling we're not done with crazy yet. Naruto laughed. No. Probably not. They sat together until dawn, watching the sun rise over a world that wasn't theirs, and for the first time in his life, Naruto didn't feel like a stranger everywhere he went. He felt like he belonged.